ponente, Mona Badamchizadeh, que es ponente y amiga también, ¿no? Porque hace unos años estuvo aquí en Gernika-Lumo tiene un museo. Mona es licenciada en museología. Sus intereses de investigación incluyen el análisis de narrativas en museos para la paz. Trabaja como voluntaria en el Museo de la Paz de Teherán, en Irán, desde el año 2013. Ha realizado prácticas en el Museo de la Paz de Gernika y en el Centro de Investigación Gernika-Lumo, en la Oficina de Alcaldes por la Paz de Hiroshima y unas prácticas en línea en Alpha Education en Toronto. Es miembro de la Junta Ejecutiva de la Red Internacional de Museos de la Paz y fue nombrada como una de sus coordinadoras en febrero de 2024. Actualmente se encuentra en Bélgica para realizar unas prácticas de 3 meses en el Museo en Flanders Fields. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello everyone. For starting my presentation, I'd like to extend my gratitude to the director of the Gernika-Lumo Museum, Irache, and also Gernika-Lumo, the director and the staff, and Andreas there, for the massive support that I had when I was here in 2018 for my internship. Thank you again. So back to my presentation, shaping memory, the role of narrative at Tehran Peace Museum. So it's surprising to me to see that when I talk to people about my country and telling them I'm from Iran, they refer to Iran as its place in Middle East, but not in Asia. So I should say Middle East is not a continent, it's just the region that is kind of named by Westerners, but we are placed in Asia. So you see Iran, and we also see that by arrow I have showed that where Tehran is located. But about Tehran Peace Museum, the first idea of creating a peace museum in Iran was put forward during the conference in Ypres in 2005. So the founder of International Network of Museums for Peace, Professor Peter van den Langen, had a talk with one of the members of Chemical Weapons Victim Association, Dr. Shahriar Khateri. And he said, why not having the first peace museum in Tehran, in Iran? I mean, the first peace museum of Iran in Tehran. In 2011, the museum opened its door to the public, and it's located in the Tehran's oldest park. It's an NGO and committed to promoting peace and raising awareness about the devastating consequences of wars in general and the dire consequences of chemical weapons used during the Iran-Iraq War, 1980 to 1988, and also weapons of mass destruction. With educational programs focusing on disarmament, humanitarian law, and peace building, the museum is pursuing its mission. So one of the characteristics of TPM is that the guides are war veterans who were exposed to gas attack, and TPM is also supported by young volunteers. To tell you a little bit about the narrative of wars in museums for peace in general, after World War II, the Peace Museum's movement shifts the narrative from glorifying wars and heroes to highlighting the human cost and environmental cost of conflicts. So through personal testimonies and exhibits, these museums were depicting the trauma, displacement, and devastation of wars, promoting non-violent solutions, empathy, and a culture of peace and reconciliation. Sorry to share this picture with you, but I kind of had to show what was going on in Iran during the war. While the public narrative of Iran-Iraq war in Iran is still kind of ideological. TPM has chosen a different story focusing on the devastating impact of chemical weapons during the war. Rather than glorifying war heroes, TPM invites visitors as volunteer guides to share their first-hand stories, their real stories, and share them with people and visitors, what they went through during the war, to give them a real picture of the war and not heroic pictures that is quite common in country. So in the picture you see Ali Reza Yazdanpana. He's alive. This is him when he was younger. He was only 15 when he went to the war, and now he's one of the volunteer guides of TPM. So he was exposed to mustard gas on April 10th, 1987 in Khorramshahr. But TPM doesn't just share the stories of soldiers, but also stories of civilians. In this picture you see Faride Shafei, who was exposed to gas attack at the age of 27. She was pregnant. She had 2 children, one of whom passed away at that time, and she was sent to Spain for medical care, and in her oral history she said she was taken good care by Spanish nurses. So through the testimonies of non-civilians, TPM displays different aspects of war, highlighting the inhuman use of chemical warfare. These stories present the real and inhuman picture of the wars and weapons of mass destruction. And this is part of her oral history that I'm going to read for you. So this part was very interesting to me because it was after the bombarding, because mostly we hear the stories of the bombarding date, but the scars after the bombarding is not widely covered. So she said, when I'm at home, it feels like I have to do whatever that a healthy wife does. But I believe that if a man is injured, the expectations his family has of him are not the same as they have of a healthy man. In this picture, you also see her, Faride, with one of her daughters, now at TPM. But at TPM, there are also stories of, not just stories of Iranian cities, but also the cities that were exposed to chemical attack in Iraq, like Halabja. This is the story of Ali Halabja. He was only 4 months when the bombarding happened. Iranian soldiers found him, took him back to Iran to a hospital, and then when he was cured, an Iranian woman volunteered to take care of him. At the age of 17 or 18, he lost his Iranian mom, and to search for his own identity with the help from Chemical Weapons Victims Association, he went to Iraq to find his own identity, and eventually he finds his own mother with DNA test, which was a great thing that happened. So we also tell the story of Iraqi citizens like Ali Halabja, and he is now living in Dublin. He's alive. There are also sections dedicated to significant peace museums with similar stories, like what you have here in Gernika, and what happened during the Civil War in 1937, and also the bombarding of Hiroshima. So TPM assists volunteers and also staff and also survivors of gas attack to travel to such sites to broaden their experiences. One of the other projects is having tours to cities exposed to chemical weapons. One of them is in Sardash, the other one is in Khorramshahr, and Al-Fav is in Iraq. That there were quite few trips to these cities to commemorate and honor the victims and also promote tourism to areas affected by such weapons. To introduce Sardash to children in Tehran and other cities in Iran, we had a project called Little Narrators. So we traveled to Sardash and asked children aged 10 to 11, what do you feel about your city? And how do you introduce your city to other children? And they were raising hand one by one, and they were saying that they are still dealing with the consequences of the gas attack because their grandparents, or in some cases their parents, were exposed to gas attack. But it wasn't the only thing that they were mentioning. They were also mentioning about the beauty of Sardash, the dance, the culture, and everything. And in the end, we asked them to draw their narratives, and you see some samples. So it was just out of 28 drawings, 2 of them were dedicated to the chemical warfare. So we used these paintings to introduce Sardash to other children in Iran. And there are numerous seminars on the effects of chemical weapons. As you see, this poster belongs to a remembrance on the anniversary of Sardash, and the second is introducing OPCW, Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. But TPM has also provided the opportunity for volunteers and staff to visit other places affected by gas attacks, such as Ypres in Belgium, and the actual battlefields of World War I. And I'm glad to say that TPM has been also visited by professionals from in Flanders Field Museum to exchange knowledge and experience. But these are all for the time before the sanctions. About the visits, TPM's visitors include a diverse range of groups: university and school students, individuals and international visitors, politicians and artists, representatives from international organizations. This picture belongs to ICOFOAM conference, which was held in 2018. But nowadays there are not many international tourists because of sanctions and because of the feeling of lack of security that that Iran is not a very not their favorite destination for many tourists. Regarding number of the visits, the annual number of visitors are about 400 at the moment. It was about 6,000 before COVID, but before sanctions it was way more than that. But I couldn't share it with you because I didn't have access to the actual number, but I just know it was way more than that because we were having more international visitors before sanctions. And this is just pictures from children and school students, university students visiting TPM. Regarding official visits, official visits are very important for us. It's not just visits, because after the visits we have meeting with the officials, which in some case which will lead to further cooperations, like the one you see, the Japanese ambassador, and also the ambassador from Netherlands, and Rahim Uzumcu from OPCW. And this is just to Danish visitors that they paid us a visit at TPM, but we don't have them that much nowadays, as I told you, because of sanctions. But there are many cases about visitors who become volunteers of TPM after their visit. So here you see Gary Lewis, who was a UN resident coordinator from 2013 to 2018. He did a great job, and he had many cooperations with TPM. And this lady is his wife, Elizabeth Lewis, who contributed significantly to TPM's oral history project. And in the middle, you see many individuals from all walks of life donating their time and energy to support the work of the only peace museum in Iran, which is quite small. Regarding the impact of sanctions on international collaborations, well, the sanctions have had a significant role on international visitors, as I mentioned before, and also the economic situation of the Iranian, which has made them to focus more on their basic needs. And and the other impact is that war survivors that are acting as volunteer guides of TPM are having difficulty reaching their medicines because of, again, sanctions. Sorry that I'm saying sanctions all the time, because I want you to remember, because there are not many people talking about the devastating impacts of sanctions, and we are just, just sorry for being emotional, but I will talk to you later about this. You see the director of TPM who lost his legs. When he was 15. He's doing great, putting aside all his scars just in favor of peace. But you see his wheelchair, that if something happens to his wheelchair, he's not able to have his wheelchair because of sanctions, which is crazy. And this is the conclusion that could you please read the conclusion, because I can't.
Lo leo aquí en inglés porque no lo tengo en castellano conmigo. As part of the Iran's history, the Tehran Peace Museum highlights the narrative of chemical weapons used in the western regions of the country, which is not discussed widely even in Iran and around the world. By focusing on the harsh realities of war, rather than glorifying it, TPM is shaping new narratives of the war and effects on conflict and weapons of mass destruction. Personal stories, trips to affected cities, remembrances, and educational workshops are key tools used to build new memories. However, sanctions have created significant obstacles, impacting tourism and the economy, leading to fewer actions related to tourism.